The challenges facing our teens today mean that more than ever, we need to be there to support them and encourage them. The Dr. STEM Show is here to provide discussions about topics that will help promote healthy relationships, self-image, and success for teens, parents, and the community. Our young people can achieve more in life than they ever dreamed possible. The Dr. STEM Show, hosted by Dr. Stem Malatini, will foster these discussions and encourage your participation.
Happily Broken, discovering happiness through pain and suffering. Welcome to the Dr. STEM Show. Today we have brought back Clementine Bihiga. Remember, for those of you that have watched the other first segment, I promised you that we're going to bring her back because at that time she was writing her book, Happily Broken. And now we bring her back to talk about this book, the brand new book that just came out. Boy, I'm so excited about this. It's called Happily Broken, Discovering Happiness Through Pain and Suffering. And I always say, who would have thought that somebody could actually be broken and then say, happily broken? Welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stem.
How
I'm
did you
excited
come
to be
up
here.
with this? How did you come up with that title?
Well, I gotta tell you, sometimes when you have an accent, that's the best way to begin a conversation.
Yeah.
So when I went to college, I went to the University of Dayton in Ohio.
Yes.
People would come up to me and say, oh, you have an accent. You know, where are you from? And I would say, I'm from Rwanda. Oh, Rwanda. Were you there during the genocide? Well, I'm actually here because of the genocide. I was there. I ran from the genocide. You know, I'm a refugee. I came here as a refugee. So I would be asked to share my story. I spoke in classes. I held conferences where I shared my story. You know, I went in different organizations. I shared my story. And people would tell me, you need to write a book about your story. Mm-hmm. You know, more people need to learn and hear about your story. And then they will be confused. They would say, if that's your story, why are you always so happy? You know? And I'm like, well, just listen to what I went through and look at where I am. Why would I not be happy? You know, why would I be sad knowing that almost 1 million people were killed in a period of 3 months and I survived? My parents survived. My siblings survived. You know, so I thought of a title for my book and I said, okay, I gotta write this book because I've had enough requests, but I need to find a title. Yeah. And I remembered it was just a common theme. Clementine is always happy. What do you take? You know, what are you high on? And then in my mind, when they'll say I'm always happy, I'll think, oh, if they knew how broken I have been, you know, things that I went through, and, you know, and who I am now because of what I went through.
Yes.
So I decided to call the book Happily Broken.
Broken. I love the cover, and, you know, I hope that we'll be able to do a closer shot for you to see either right now or at the end of the segment that you can see the cover. On the cover, not only do we have Clementine smiling for that happiness, to just exude that happiness that she has, but in the background, it's a chilling picture of dead bodies and children walking over dead bodies. Some are holding, is that a goat or a bag?
That's a goat.
Yeah, holding a goat, I mean, with villages that just destroyed. And it shows the vivid picture of how severe and traumatic this experience was for you. And then here you come out smiling.
Happy.
And happy.
Happy because that's actually a picture of a refugee camp that I lived in during the genocide and civil war.
Yes.
But that picture was taken in 1997.
Wow.
Which means that a lot of these people arrived in that refugee camp in 1994. But they're still there, even now as we speak.
There's still people in that camp?
Of course, there's still people in that camp. So I lived in that refugee camp, and now I'm here smiling because I have left that behind. I have lived through it. But you know, it's real life. We have people that are living like that every single day.
Yes.
And that is why I am so happy. I'm high on life.
Yes.
Because I'm not there anymore. And I praise God for that.
Yes, yes, yes. And you know, I like the term high on life because a lot of people, like you're saying, they go through brokenness, whether it's through, you know, genocide like you did, or even through traumatic events that happen in their lives, parents leaving them or not having a parent, being in foster homes. We're here in America now. So, you know, there are a lot of people that grow up in foster homes. There are a lot of people that grow up in poor environments where they don't have anything. So you're broken.
Exactly.
And then part of it is our responsibility, I think, which is, you know, what you're saying here is you have to find that happy for yourself.
You have to. You really have to. Because, you know, I believe that being broken,
Yes.
you know, the pain and suffering that you go through, it happens to shape you.
Yes.
It doesn't happen to break you so that you are so down. You know, you can choose to find happiness.
Yes.
You can say, okay, so even though it's a disadvantage that you're going through that breaking,
Yeah.
what's the advantage of it? In everything, there's an advantage and a disadvantage. So what is the advantage of me being broken? What do I have that others may not have? Or what do I have that others may have, but they don't know that they have it because they're thinking, I'm broken, I'm done, there's no way I'm ever going to get out of it.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I said, you know what? I have gone through all these problems. I have gone through pain and suffering, you know, through living in refugee camps, being almost killed by just bullets all over, bombs exploding. I have come to the U.S. I have been bullied in high school because I was different. And I lost a daughter last year. All these are episodes of being broken. But every time I break, I realize something. I realize, you know what? I can use this to my advantage. You know, I can use this to talk to a friend that's feeling down and show them that I know you're going through this, but you can get out of it.
Yes.
You know, what are the chances that an 8-year-old girl who has gone through refugee camps, lost her parents and thought that they'll never meet again, has gone hungry, you know, what are the chances that they would eventually come to the U.S. and get an education, get a master's degree, you know, and be a public speaker and write a book? They're so slim. And when you're going through brokenness,
Yeah.
and compare and look at your life, you know, there are more chances that you will get out of it than what I went through as an 8-year-old girl. You know, so it's all about really finding that happiness in you and looking for what you can offer because of your past experiences.
You're right. In fact, at the back of the book, I know you're right, at the age of 8, bullets shot past her head as her mother and youngest siblings piled into a car. Not enough room left for the rest of the family. Clementine and her brothers walked beside the vehicle as bombs exploded beside them. Tell us a little bit about, you know, the gist of the story that you write in this book.
So a lot of people are familiar with the movie Hotel Rwanda.
Oh, yes.
Which, when the movie first came out, I didn't want to watch it.
Yeah.
But finally, I said, you know what? I'm going to be a big girl and watch it.
Yeah.
You know, I need to know what's portrayed in there.
Yes.
And there's this particular scene where, you know, there's a crowd of people just going down the dirt road, running, crying, you know, falling down, just climbing on top of each other. And there were people just shooting bullets and bombs exploding. And that is the image that I saw in my head that reminded me of what I went through myself, because it was the exact same thing that happened. We were walking down. My mother was pregnant at the time, so she was in a car. Myself and my 2 older brothers were walking beside the car, and somehow, amid the chaos, amid the shooting,
You know what? I know we're talking there, but we're going to take a quick break because I just got, directions to take a quick break. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Before the break, I know I had to stop you. You were telling us about the Hotel Rwanda and what you saw depicted with the running and the shooting and the bullets. So let's continue from that part.
Right. So, like I said, in the movie, it shows a group of, families, children just running down this big dirt road, screaming, running for their lives, and bullets going through the crowd, and bombs exploding and things like that. That is the same scene that I personally went through when we were leaving the country. And my mother was pregnant. She was about 8 months pregnant. Yeah. So she got in the car, and with my younger siblings, myself and my two brothers had to walk beside the car. But amidst the chaos, there is no way we could have been together until we got to Congo, which is where we were all trying to go. So eventually, we just lost track of each other, and myself and my brothers just kept walking. It felt like we walked for 2 days, and to be honest with you, at this time and moment, I still don't know the exact amount of time. All I know is by the time we got to the border of Congo and Rwanda, I was worn out. I just wanted to drop down and die. I was so tired. Yeah. And we finally got to Congo, and we really didn't think we were ever going to see our parents. And that was it. We thought, you know what? We are just going to fend for ourselves and see where life takes us.
And how did you get to meet with your parents? Was that in Congo?
Yes. So they also actually got to Congo. Yeah. And there were radios that were broadcasting whereabouts of kids that were, lost. And my parents found out about us through that radio. And I remember sitting outside this little abandoned house that we had taken refuge in. Yeah. And I saw this little white car coming all the way from like far away, and it was slowly coming, and my heart started pounding so fast. I'm like, oh my God, there's a car coming. Like, we hardly ever saw cars there, And the closer I got, I was like, this car looks familiar. And then finally I realized it's my parents' car.
Really?
Yes. Wow. And that was, I can't even begin to describe how wonderful that felt. I was like, finally, after 2 weeks.
Wow.
I mean, imagine I'm 8 and I don't know where my parents are, and it was just a group of boys and then me, and wow, I was like, finally I get to go back home. Life will be, back to normal. I'm gonna go back, in our house, only we didn't. Yeah. We went to live in the refugee camp that you see there.
Okay, so this one here, is that in Congo?
Yes.
This is in Congo.
That is the same refugee camp we lived in. That camp on the picture. So, I mean, that camp means so much to me because that's where I saw just, things that I never thought I would ever see. Going to sleep at night and you wake up and there are lots of dead bodies around you, and you're wondering, why didn't I die? Why these people? And the fact that all my siblings survived. Yeah. It's a miracle. Some people don't believe in miracles, but I can sit down and tell you so many miracles that have happened to me. Yeah. And I didn't get to think about it until I was much older and just looked back at my life and say, why not me? What happened?
Yeah. I remember when I met you at the conference, at the Kenyan conference that we met, and you were speaking, and you spoke about a moment that it's just ingrained in my brain of your escape. Can you tell us that moment? I don't even want to remind you because you know which one it is, because I have reminded you many a time that I could not believe that you went through that.
Well, so Lake Kivu, the Lake Kivu moment. So a lot of the refugees in Congo, whether they lived in refugee camps or in, in shelters there, we all went to Lake Kivu for water, to fetch water. So this is where we fetched water to cook with. This is where we fetch water to bathe with, or we will just go there and bathe at the lake and come back home. This is where we washed our clothes. So having clean water was not something that we had access to, So one day I went to Lake Kivu. I had a dress that my mother had bought me. And it was very precious. I loved that dress because it was the only nice piece of clothing that I had.
Yeah.
So I went to fetch water and wash the dress. So I remember I put the dress down and there were waves coming in. While I put the dress down, I'm busy, getting water in the jerry can that we were using.
Yeah.
And this one big wave came and took my dress and went away with it. And I was like, oh my God, my mom is gonna kill me. I know she probably sold half of her clothing to get me this dress, know? And I love this dress so much, I said, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. I didn't know how to swim. So in itself, that was dangerous. It was like suicide mission. But I decided to go for it.
Yeah.
So I went in the water and, and I was on my knees and kept moving in the water. And then finally I thought I could grab the dress if I could get a hold of something. So I saw this thing that looked like a log in the water and jumped on top of it and kept moving my arms. Like I saw people swim back home and, was trying to get closer to the dress. As soon as I was, a couple inches away from the dress, I made a little jump to catch the dress, and that log that I was laying on flipped suddenly, and I realized it was a dead body. Okay, so at that moment, I said, you know what, forget the dress. I don't need that. I gotta get back to the shore. So boy, did I swim. I told you I don't know how to swim. I did not know how to swim. But that moment, I swam so fast. Forget Mike Phelps. I was better. I was faster. It's like I had, practiced for a triathlon. I was running for my life. I went back to the shore. I swam and my heart beating. And I was like, I gotta get away from this. And as soon as I got back to the shore, I was like, what just happened? I just swam. But now you put me in water, I'm not gonna go anywhere. I can't swim. It has to be like a fight or flight situation. But, there were so many dead bodies during that time. 800,000 people. That there was no room. There was no room to put these people. So they were either laying in refugee camps, laying beside the road, or people would just throw them in the lake. And that's the same water we were drinking.
I brought you on the Dr. STEM show, which I hope you have read a little bit about. It's about motivating people, inspiring people, and empowering people because mainly of your story, but mainly because of this part that you have just described. I'll tell you, when I heard you speak about this part, I thought, you know what, there's nothing that anybody can say I cannot do. I don't think I'm able to do this in our lifetime, as long as you get to a position where it's fight or flight, like you're saying. And if you say to yourself, I know I can do it, and you put everything in you, you can do it. And before you know it, you're at the shore. Success is yours, and you've actually made it in life. We're going to take another quick break.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back. We are talking today to Clementine Bihiga. I know I'm saying it right because she corrected me many a time. And she's an inspirational speaker. She's originally from Rwanda, as I said at the beginning of the show. She is now living here in the United States since 1999 with her family. Clementine speaks 5 languages. She obtained her undergraduate degree from the University of Dayton, Ohio, and her graduate degree from Anna Maria College in Paxton, right here in Massachusetts. She's currently married to a happy husband, Chris, who I'm sure is very proud of you, and they both live in Massachusetts with their son and upcoming new baby.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Is that going to be a boy or girl?
Another boy.
Another boy. They're having another son. Congratulations to
Thank
you.
you.
So tell us about the work that you're now doing as an inspirational speaker, keynote speaker, motivational speaker. What kind of audience are you speaking to?
So most of the people that have reached out to me are organizations that deal with people who have gone through some kind of trauma and are just, trying to get out of it.
Yes.
I've also gone to speak to women groups, women that have been broken because of, abusive relationships.
Yes.
Financial troubles, those that are really going through difficult times and are trying to find out a way to break through, to have a breakthrough. I also speak at schools,
Yes.
high schools, colleges, and my main, really the underlying message to these audiences is that it's all mental. No matter what you have gone through, you need to be persistent and also know that there is no one else in this world that can replace you. And whatever you're going through is not meant to break you, but to make you. So that brokenness that you feel like you're going through, it is meant to turn you into a whole new person, a person that's meant to do whatever calling that, the higher power has given them.
Yeah.
Which is why I have my my workshop. It's called "You Are a Masterpiece" workshop.
Okay.
In which I speak about how everyone has a calling, and the first step to happiness is to really find out how you're wired and what that calling is.
Yes.
I actually did go through that masterpiece workshop myself,
Yes.
and it's so funny how much it spoke to who I am.
Yes.
I found a lot of the things that were described about, my personality, my ambition is really who I am, and led me to become an inspirational speaker and an author. I had put, being an author on the sideline and said, I need to do this and this first. But I realized, I said, you know what? This can't wait. This is what I'm meant to do
right now. Yes. So look out, because one of the things that we're doing is we are planning to do day-long conferences where we will have these 2 workshops, the masterpiece that she's talking about. She also has another one that's called The Terrifying Beauty of Pain. As you all know, do workshops also on empowering yourself. And this time I'm concentrating more on building self-confidence for life and business, and also self-esteem, because I work with a lot of teenagers and parents, and everybody says, well, work with my teenager because they have low self-esteem. Work with my son because they have low self-esteem. So we're going to be going around now and doing those workshops where, she'll be talking about more of being a masterpiece, and I'll be talking more about building your confidence, which will help you to realize what a masterpiece that you are and what it is that you were created to do. So look out for that. In order to get in touch with Clementine, her information is below, but how can people get in touch with you?
Yes, so I would love to hear from you. I have a website. It's called ClementineBihiga.com, just my name.com. And my email address is info@ClementineBihiga.com. I have a blog on my website. Feel free to comment on the blog or just shoot me a quick email. I would love to connect with you. And I'm open to doing any talks or book signings. And I'm looking to hear from you.
Awesome. Before we finish, I have to read you what she said on her in her book and the last. She says more on me, just in case you wanted to know more on her. She loves dancing. Beyonce's music does something to her. So whenever she comes to speak at your conference, put Beyonce's music, you'll get the best out of her.
Oh, yes.
And every new year, she says she has anxiety that she will dance so much and dislocate her knees. This anxiety is real. As we spoke about PTSD the last time, because now we have a name for it, post-traumatic disorder, which is not a bad thing. It's just that you're experiencing the pain and emotions of what you went through before, and now she realizes that, you know, it is anxiety. But what was funny, she says, my husband has banned me from dancing Gangnam Style. Oh, Gangnam Style. I know that one.
You know the song?
Yes, my nephew Michael and Martin, they love that.
I love it too.
They love it. They love it. Oh boy, because she's going to end up in the emergency room. I see that's happening. She also said she would like to meet Oprah one day. I think this one is a cross out because she's met me and I'm Oprah. She doesn't want to meet Oprah anymore.
The more the merrier.
Nelson Mandela was on the list and unfortunately he's up in heaven. So she forgot to put, I would like to meet Dr. Stem. So now, guess what? She's met Dr. Stem. Oprah, she's coming after you. She's going to meet Oprah too. Her other dream is to have a house that reminds her of her parents' house in Rwanda. Because as she says, I left too soon and never got to enjoy it. Guess what? You all have an opportunity to live and be as happy as you want to be, because it's all up to you. She says it's the mind, what you think of, and what you think about is who you become. What is it that you want to become? How happy do you want to be? And are you going to let your brokenness, break you or make you? But I know I have a few seconds. You spoke a little bit and said I was bullied. I work with teenagers. What happened with that bullying?
Well, so when I was in high school,
yes,
high school kids can be mean. Not because
yeah,
maybe they don't know that they're being mean, but it's the hormones and what's cool is what's cool. If you're not that, then you're just not cool. Yeah. So when I got to high school, I was dealing with my past. I was dealing with my nightmares and all the trauma that I had gone through, that it was hard for me to assimilate with the other kids, to be just like the other kids. Yeah. Even though back home, I would have been the popular kid. Here, I was I was so confused. I had these, the normal teenage hormones going through me. And then I had these, traumatic past experience, and I'm trying to be normal. Yeah. And throughout, discovering myself and, just trying to be a regular teenage kid, but not really a regular teenage kid, I was bullied a lot in high school. Yeah. But what kept me strong is knowing my background and knowing where I came from. I knew that words were not going to kill me, So I said, you know what? That's fine. I'll go through it and I'll be just fine. And I'll write a book about it. Yeah. And there it is.
So you know what? She can actually elaborate on that and talk to your school, your children at the, at the church, or even any group talking about bullying and how she was able to overcome it. So I hope you'll be able to get in touch with her. And again, we do have her contact information at the bottom of your screen. Thank you for coming back and talking to us about Happily Broken, your brand new book.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stem. And I admire you for all your books and all your hard work. So I'm so glad to be here.
And thank you for watching the Dr. Stem Show. Don't forget, you can get this book either from her website, or you can also get it on www.amazon.com. Barnes & Nobles are also carrying it. So be sure to get yourself a copy. It's very easy, an easy read. Thank you again for watching the Dr. Stem Show.
Thank you for listening to the Dr. Stem Show. Have a terrific week.